Welcome back to the Company Show. We tell it like it is, and we don't care how you're feeling. And this one, we got to tell it like it is. We got to keep it real. Did not like the game. Obviously, Georgia goes down to Alabama. Alabama wins the SEC championship game. Georgia's 29 win streak comes to an end, beat by the last team that beat them. And it is what it is, man. You got to tip your hats, give credit to Alabama. I thought that they played a sound game. I thought that they did really well in the trenches. They outperformed Georgia in the trenches, plain and simple. You can make a lot. You can come up with excuse after excuse. Refereeing was bad. Calls that shouldn't have been calls. I agree with all that. But the point is that Georgia got out physicaled in that game on the lines. And I think Georgia beat themselves. The play calling just was one thing after the other. Let's kind of get into it and break it down. Bama wins 27-24. And at the beginning of the game, I was happy. Georgia got a stop on Alabama's first offensive drive. Georgia got the ball, went right down the field, made it look easy, and went up 7-0. I was like, oh, shit, okay. I wasn't expecting it to be this easy. I was like, damn, are we going to blow Alabama out? And then something changed. The momentum swing, and I can't quite figure it out, but something definitely changed after those first couple of possessions. Because Georgia just could not get anything going. And it's not like Alabama. Look, Alabama didn't have great numbers. The numbers for Alabama and Milroe weren't great. Now, they did have some good running yards, but passing yards, he wasn't that good. Milroe didn't have very much. The run game with his legs weren't really a factor. I think in the third quarter, that Alabama offense was shut down to a total of 40 yards offensively in the third quarter. So it's not like they had some crazy explosive offensive game that they just whooped Georgia's ass. It's like they did just enough, there was a couple of plays where they did just enough to beat Georgia. This was a very close game, a very well-matched, close-knitted type game, and it basically came down to what team isn't going to play their best, and that was Georgia. Georgia did not play their best in this game. This game they were tied for the highest penalties all season long. Undisciplined. That false start in the first quarter, I believe, where we went down the field, we had a chance to tie it up with a field goal, go up, make it 10-10. It went from a 45-yard field goal to a 50-yard field goal with the false start, and missed it by just that much. Kicker had the leg, but you got to think there's just things like that, mistakes like that over and over, that is what really cost Georgia this game. And I did not like the scheme we had on defense. We did kind of change it up a little in the second quarter, and we started getting after Milroe a little bit more, especially that third quarter. But that first quarter, I felt like we spied Jalen Milroe way too much, and we didn't bring any pressure. It felt like we were so worried about what Milroe could do with his legs that we didn't even want to challenge him. And I get it. Milroe is a hell of an athlete. He is probably one of the faster guys on both sides. I mean, he's a stud when it comes to running the ball, tucking and running. But I felt like Georgia played conservative. I felt like they played scared. I felt like they were waiting for Milroe to do something and then react instead of chasing after Milroe and getting to him. We had a couple sacks in the first half, but it just wasn't enough. It didn't cut it. There were so many times where I saw both of our middle linebackers just stand in the pocket and just spy him. I'm like, somebody run after him. What are we doing? You're giving him 5-6 seconds to throw the ball. He's a good passer. He's not like the best in the league, but if you give a quarterback that long to just stand in the pocket, a receiver's going to get open from here and there. I mean, no matter, you can't ask a safety or anyone to defend someone, especially with the receivers that they have, the caliber they have. You can't ask someone to defend a receiver 5-6 seconds all game long. Receivers are going to get open. They're going to find holes. And I feel like Georgia played way too conservatively in this game on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. I really wish that Georgia was able to bring more pressure down. I feel like we only rushed 2 and kept 2 spies back almost the entire game. And it kept Alabama at bay, but it didn't shut Alabama down. And like I said, with the self-inflicted wounds that Georgia did, it allowed Alabama to do just enough to win this game. And that's all that matters at the end, do just enough to win the game. And they did that. And on offense, I mean, I understand Georgia was dealing with some injuries. Ra Thomas was out. I think he was still in crutches. Ladd McConkey was limping through the entirety of the game. I get him being tough and wanting to go out there and play. I commend the guy for it. That's a hell of a athlete, hell of a try. But, I mean, he's limping through the whole game. Brock Bowers wasn't 100%. And it honestly felt like this offensive team didn't trust Carson Beck with the ball due to those injuries. And there was a couple of plays that I just didn't understand on the offense, play calling wise. There was one where it was, I believe, 3rd and 4. I can't remember what quarter it was, but it was 3rd and 4. And we did like a little pass sweep to the outside to try and pick up the first down. Now, we ran, so if we're lined up, we ran to the left side of the center, the short end of the field. The Alabama had like 6 defenders right there, all crowded in, and we still we didn't check out of that. We didn't do nothing. We didn't call any audible, nothing. We still ran it to that side, and I'm just scratching my head, like, why are we calling that? You got the entire other half of the field, the bigger half of the field, where you're at that point, you're trying to set the edge. It's 3rd and 4. You want to get to the perimeter. You want to set the edge, get around, especially with the speed that Kendall Milton has. He can get around. And we decided to run it to the left side where Alabama had 6 fucking defenders there. Like, I don't get it. There were so many head scratching play calls that I'm like, what are we doing? It seemed like Georgia played a same way kind of all season long, and they were able to win with that style. I mean, and I'm not even going to use excuses. Brock Bowers was injured, and guess what happened when Brock Bowers was out? We put up we demolished Ole Miss. So I don't even want to fucking hear it. And we fucking beat Tennessee. It is what it's ridiculous. You can't use it. So injuries or not, Georgia has played the same way all season long. And I get that this Alabama defense and this Alabama secondary is one of the best in the country. It's a solid, especially that secondary is really good. But we play one way all year long, and at the very end, it seems like we change it up in the game that mattered the most, and it cost Georgia. It really looked like our offense was playing in the mud. There was multiple 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s that we just couldn't pick up. We couldn't run between the tackles. We stopped trying to set the edge, it felt like. There's so many times where I'm like, why are we continuously running this? Why don't we try and get some jet sweeps, some anything to the perimeter just to get something? And I feel like we just gave up on a lot of trying different plays. It really did feel like we just gave up. And I mean, Georgia hang in there to the very end, and when we needed to stop on defense at the very end to get the ball back, maybe go down and score a touchdown and win, or kick a field goal tied up. We just couldn't stop that Alabama offense. They picked up the first down that needed, and they're able to kneel the ball, run out the clock, win the game. Got to tip my hat to Alabama. Frustrating game to watch, but it was a good game. We all counted Alabama out a little too early in the season after that loss to Texas. I honestly do think that Alabama goes on to win the Natty this year. I do. I don't see what other team can stop them. I truly do believe that Georgia is the best team in the country, and Alabama beat them. And I don't see who else. I don't see what defense can stop Alabama. I mean, we'll see. Texas is in the playoff. Can Texas get through Washington? But it's really tough to beat a team twice in a year. I understand Washington did the same thing with Oregon, but more times than not, it's really tough to beat a team 2 times in a year. Ask Alabama about that a couple years ago when they beat Georgia in the SEC championship pretty significantly, and then turn around and Georgia beat them in the national championship. So it's very difficult to beat a team twice, and I think Alabama is going to want revenge on Texas if they get through Michigan and go to the national championship. I think Alabama. I will have a preview and prediction coming out of all the playoff games and a couple of the bowl games. But I'm just giving you a little sneak peek. I think Alabama wins it. I think the SEC championship was a national championship game. And I will have a video coming out about the Final Four. I have some very strong opinions about it. Even though it's kind of contradicting what I'm saying right now, I have some very strong opinions about it. But nonetheless, congratulations to Alabama. They are the 2023 SEC champions. Tough loss for Georgia. It kind of sucks to have the streak lose to this way, in this way. I would have much rather Georgia have lost to Ole Miss or Georgia Tech than this game. Just a heartbreaking loss for Georgia fans. Kind of seems like this happens against Alabama way too often, where it's not even like a blowout. I mean, there have been occasional blowouts, but more times than not, it's a last minute, still hopes alive, late in the fourth, and just heart-crushing loss. Georgia fans, tell me what you think. Is this a Alabama team that's just better than Georgia, or is this a team where they're both on the same playing field, but Georgia just can't seem to get over that mental hump that is Alabama in the SEC championship? Now, we all know that Georgia beat Alabama 2 years ago for the national championship, but Georgia has yet to beat Alabama, at least under Nick Saban, for the SEC championship. There's something about Atlanta and Alabama that Georgia just can't seem to get over. Not sure what it is. More times than not, they have been the better team, but when it comes to playing the game, they haven't shown up, and they didn't show up this past weekend. I don't know what Georgia team that was, but it wasn't the Georgia team that we know. But nonetheless, like I said, congratulations to Alabama. They are the 2023 SEC champions, and we'll see about next year. Other than that, over and out.